Hey team, welcome back to another amazing episode of the Intentional Agribusiness Leader Podcast. This is your host, Mark Jewell, and today I am joined, very excited for this episode, joined by my longtime friend, Sarah Betzold. And Sarah and I go way back. I mean, I'm talking like, we probably shouldn't even mention how many years, but our 25-year anniversary of being state FFA officers is coming up this next year, and that's pretty telling for how long. So, Sarah, super excited to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
So good to be here with you. From hanging out with your mom and dad on the leach farm to creating trainings for FFA. Right. Great to be here with you now.
Man,
several years later.
I haven't even thought about so many of those things in so long, but I'm actually going home tomorrow to do a keynote for the Todd County Farm Bureau. And so I was starting to think about some of the stories I could bring up for that keynote. And I was thinking about some of those times, but you get the same opening question everybody does, Sarah. What does it mean for you to be intentional?
Absolutely. First off, thanks, Mark, for allowing me to join you from a grainy hotel room. But here we are. To be intentional, I would say two words: own it. The leader needs to own it and have intentionality, but also it's my belief that everyone on the team needs to. That's part of creating a good culture, is whether you're an administrative assistant, whether you're a territory manager, whether you're a district manager, whether you're a regional director, own your role. And I would say being intentional for me personally is, how do I remove enough hurdles for every single person on my team so that they can do the job that they signed up for. Our jobs always seem to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and more and more and more on our plate. But as leaders, how can I be really, really key on owning what we signed up for and what, in the end, what our job really is?
Yeah, beautiful. Where does that come from for you? I haven't had anybody put it exactly like that. So is that just a mentality you've grown up with, something you've learned along the way? Where does that own it mentality come from?
It absolutely is. I grew up on a dairy farm, as you know, and whether it was the calves need to be fed before the 4-H softball game, or the hay needs to be unloaded before we can go to the movie, it was, hey, you've got a job, we're going to do it, and then we're going to go do what we want to do after that, or go celebrate it after we really accomplished what we did. So I would say part of that. The other is, it's really, really recent in my memory. BASF, one of our winning ways is own it. And so we've been talking for the last 2 years here at BASF about how do we own it? How do we all do our part to make it work?
Beautiful. I love it. What does it mean to be the Midwest Region Director for BASF? Give us a little bit of what you're doing today, what your background is, how you got here.
Yeah, they told me I would still be learning after year one, but I think that's the case for year two too. So I'll probably tell you a different story next year. Region Director here in the Midwest for BASF, really mid-central Corn Belt, I would say, is my geography. Both crop protection, seed treatment, and seed teams, and just have some incredible teams here, Mark, that drive it every day.
Awesome. Love it. So you've had a really amazing career. I've sort of followed from the wings here the last 20 years or so, and then we've gotten back in touch here more recently. How'd you get here? For those that may be aspiring to lead teams and grow their business and be intentional leaders of the future, how'd you get here?
Yeah, I would say it probably starts back at the dairy farm, right? And on our FFA and 4-H experiences of, what do you really love to do? Sarah loves to talk, and Sarah loves plants, and Sarah loves working with people and making everyone just a little bit better than I left them, or than when I met them. So really, really every step in my career, whether it was my thought on that I wanted to go there, or someone else's asking, it was really built upon that. So whether it was Minneapolis Grain Exchange or Pioneer turned Brabant Corteva. I also had a short stint with Tyrannus, where we really built our drone-enabled crop intelligence here in the U.S. Incredible team there as well. And then here at BASF, it really, I thought I would always be in my first job when I got out of college, because I've loved every one of them. I think that about every role that I've had. But it's amazing how you can step into a new role and just learn that much more, and really respect the team that you have that much more. I've had great teams every step of the way, but this one in particular, it feels good to be leading the Midwest team in the BASF world, because honestly, I can tell you they would do just fine without me. I have an incredible team of leaders here, and it's my job to just keep fostering that. So pretty fun. I've loved every minute of it, Mark.
Love it. That's great. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about FFA a little bit, because it's obviously had a big hand in, both of us getting to where we are in this world and in service of the industry today. Talk a little bit about that. Talk about, Zumbrota FFA and coming up through, like, how did all that impact, where you ended up?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say first off, leadership, right? That's the key word of the podcast in general. But I was a quiet dairy farm girl, believe it or not, at one point, and FFA really meeting all of the folks all of the other students that you and I got to hang out with, whether it was camps or conferences or just simple meetings, or it was, hey, Sarah, we want you to be on the parliamentary procedure team. And you want me to what? You want me to run a meeting? What? And I even once ventured and did an extemp public speaking career development event. I think they're called leader development events now, but just cracking open and trying something new because someone encouraged me. My best friend, Mamie Henderson at the time, Mamie Lumen now, her and I were lockstep, but she was phenomenal at prepared public speaking, and I had different talents, and so we could celebrate each other and help each other and lift each other up every step of the way. So I would say it's a testament to the people that were that surrounded us, Mark, that one brought us to the activities we were going to be involved in, and the fun times that we had, and hey, I do want to be a region officer. I'm going to try. I do want to be a state officer. I'm going to give it a shot. And every time we were surrounded by a new group of people, we just grew that much more. So I love to watch the students do that today. My niece was just a state officer last year. And one of my cousins is this year. So it's really great to see them and just watch them grow.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I saw the picture on social media recently of your cousin, and it's your cousin and her son, right? That were both, like, Leah was the state FFA president. Now her son is, whatever this is, 25 years later, now the state FFA president. How cool.
So cool. Like the pride just has to be gleaming.
Oh man, it would be for me. It really got me thinking, because we live in a part of North Carolina where you don't have FFA. We do actually in our local school district. My kids go to a different school, so they haven't had access to this. And I've got a daughter who's trying to be a Division I volleyball player, so that's a whole thing in and of itself. So we're plenty busy with all the athletic side. But I start to think towards my son coming up, who's only he's going to be 10 here at Christmas time. And what shifts can I make, right, to get him into the right school district as he gets out of elementary school, goes into high school or something like that. So anyway, I'm thinking about that because I mean, it was such a valuable experience for me. I mean, it opened the world, to a kid who, probably would still be just, and nothing against it to the people who live in central Minnesota. I'm not dogging on it, but that was not where God intended me to spend my life, and it put me into, situations where we got to work on amazing teams and get to know people like you. I think about Mike Miron, a lot, who became one of my best friends from the time. And also they could put us into companies like Cargill, where we got like, that was where I discovered like corporate training was an actual career that people did. And
And a
realized,
need. Thanks,
and a
Mark.
need. And that's a thing you can go do. Right. And so that was why I chose ag ed as a major, and with the intention always of being in corporate training. And it's interesting how, how things shift and change around the industry as we grow. And now that's not even, I mean, Cargill now actually recently, unfortunately, let go of a lot of those folks. They don't even have that as an internal resource anymore. So things coming full circle, we're now getting to bid some of those projects,
How cool. How
So
cool is it?
yeah, really, really cool to, to say, that was the place that inspired it. Now maybe we actually get to work with some of in fact, we do have one person from that company in one of our programs right now. So it's fantastic. What would you say? And I'm interested in your take on this. I think when we're in that pre-career or early career stage, we have an idea of what it's going to be like to be in a leadership role. Right. And this is the stuff that we talked about. This is all the camps that we ever went to as state FFA officers or whatever. And, you hear about leadership, you talk about leadership, we talk about premier leadership, personal growth and career success, right? And still have the mission memorized. But we talk about that. And then you actually get into it from a career perspective. Like the messy work of leading people. And if I'm reading your bio right, I think it's like 84, 85 people on your team today, right? With 13 direct reports. I mean, that's like, so now you're leading a small tribe of people. That's not even a small tribe. That's a big tribe of people. Let's go this angle. What would you go back and tell Sarah from those days to get ready for?
Oh, that's a big one, Mark. I would say first that the things that we led as officers at a FFA camp were the fundamentals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was etiquette. I remember teaching people where their fork goes. But it was also the working together with other people that are different than you and finding their talents that you maybe don't have. The core fundamentals, right? In being a teammate or being a leader of a team. And so I would say just exactly what you said to my younger self, like, hey, it's not all roses. It's not perfect, but it's your job to make it just a little bit better for everyone on your team. And if you remove those hurdles, if you remove that messiness that you mentioned, they can perform that much better. And the key piece is just being there with your people and listening, right? Listen a lot. We probably didn't tell our younger selves that enough, that just listen and you'll learn so much about people, about teams, about the dynamics, about what's really, really driving them and what's really, really pissing them off, right?
Yeah.
And how do you listen enough to get a good understanding of where they're at and meet them where they are and try to just bring them along a little bit further. My team is super high performing right now, Mark, super high performing, but we had to make some changes earlier this year and it wasn't fun. But my team has come through that in a really big way and owned it back to the beginning. So that's what I would say. No matter what you tell your younger self, they're probably not going to listen, but it's that messy factor, and it's not everything's roses. It's going to be frustrating. But it's your job to just help it be a little better.
Yeah. Yeah. Great answer, by the way. I think it's a perfect answer. And I love it. I would just tell myself to not be so damn arrogant.
We have moments, don't we?
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, that was probably in the last, for sure, 14 years for me, like post 30 is this like, man, like I wasted so much time in my 20s, just thinking you had it figured out, or that it was someone else's fault, or that there was nothing you could do about it, or whatever. And like it was just like I was too arrogant. I wanted Yeah. But I don't also know, like, would my arrogant self listen to myself? Probably not.
Probably not.
So
I
what,
had, I was just going to share,
yeah.
I had a similar revelation probably about 15 years ago. We were in this weird spot with Corteva where we called it getting
Mhm.
ready for the wedding, right? Dow and DuPont were coming together. We were going to be Corteva. And so there weren't any changes happening in roles.
Mhm.
You're here and that's where you're going to stay. And I was in marketing and I loved marketing and I thought I was just nailing marketing. I got this. And my boss one day riding in a truck with one of my coworkers who was a district manager leading an agronomy and sales team. And he said, "Hey, what would you guys think about switching roles?" And I was like, "I'm good, thanks." And he said, "Nah,
Yeah.
what happens if we don't?" And he said, "Well, then you got to find a new job." So we got
Mm.
stuck into it. But at the same time, he had the vision to see that we could bring so much more and we could grow so much more. And neither one of us had that vision, but he saw that this was the opportunity for us to grow. And
Mhm.
I would say we both are thankful to him for that day and that drive across Wisconsin, that it opened up a whole new world that I and probably my new team and probably every team since then was like, what, this marketing girl is going to come lead our team? What? But again, just a jump start and some of the best conversations and teams that I've ever worked with.
That's a great story. It's a great story because I think what I see happening a lot in agriculture today, I'm sure that happens in other industries too, but this is where we are, is managers, leaders like that maybe hesitant to pull the trigger on that decision because we are afraid of that person quitting. Right. And actually
Yeah.
leaving. And then we have this perceived or real, right, talent shortage in the industry. And good people are tough to come by. But it's like sometimes those are when I talk to the generation older than us, that was commonplace. You just
Right.
went where they told you to go. It was almost like signing up for the military. If you were going to work for a large company like that, you just
Mm-hmm.
expect to be moved around. It was multiple moves in the course of a career. That was normal,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so it's a lot different than today, right? But
Very much so.
not entirely, but quite a bit. So. Yeah, that's cool. I love the foresight. Okay, so with that, let's keep on that track. What's the biggest hurdle that you've had to overcome in your career?
Oh, let's see. I It feels like the life is hurdles, right? I would say the biggest was where I moved the most people's cheese. Right? It was when I was as a district manager at Pioneer, really had a phenomenal team. We had come through a lot of
Mm-hmm.
challenges with wind damage and all sorts of other things that the team came through and built our relationships and our partnerships with growers and sales reps. And then one day met in a private conference room near the airport, signed a piece of paper and said, "You're going to come join the Brevant team." I had no idea what that was because it was a new word. Um, and it was about 5 months before we launched Brevant here in the US as Corteva. And
Mm-hmm.
biggest hurdle for me was coming in as the new person to the team. So I wasn't on the Mycogen team. I was on the Stepsister Pioneers team. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed to take this whole team of Mycogen professionals, sales professionals that have worked every day building businesses with farmer dealers, with Mycogen, in most cases farmer dealers, some other channels, and take them, put them into new jobs with a new brand, working towards a new market, which was retailers, which in many times was a direct competitor of what they were doing yesterday. Um, and so
Yeah.
I would say that was the biggest hurdle. And what was my job? My job was to just make it a little shorter every time we talked. How are we going to do this?
Mm.
How are we going to build the plan? How do I give you the words to use when you have no idea what to say right now? as we launched a brand yesterday. And my whole world is upside down. How are we going to do that? Creating that vision, really, really saying, here's what we're going to be when we grow up. And that's going to be a little bit, but we need to start here today. And my team of 5 leaders, 4 of them were new. One was an open seat that we needed to hire for. So I don't say all this to get any sympathy. I say this to say that team absolutely knocked it out of the park. And they've grown the Brevant brands ever since then. And if you walked into a retailer a couple weeks after we launched Brevant, they said, no thanks. Maybe once you get established. And today you walk in and they say, they're probably the ones you have to beat. And they're doing a great job with relationships and with partnerships on the seed side at retail. So I would say huge testament to the team, but it was a really lots of hurdles, not just one, all on the same day.
Wow. That's a wild story, actually. Like, you've told it very calmly, but I can only imagine the emotions that are like up and down and sideways in those behind the scenes conversations, and like just I mean, in you as you go through it, right?
I probably forgot the biggest part of it was we had to do most of it virtually because it was right in the middle of COVID.
Oh wow!
So it was a lot of phone calls, and getting people to trust you over the phone is a lot harder than really sitting down with them and talking through here's what we're going to do. So I cheated. I did bring my leadership team together so that I could at least meet them face to face. But everything else had to be virtual. So it was hard, but exciting all at the same time.
Dang. What would you say? So if somebody's going through a change, so this is highly relevant. I'm predicting over the next several years. Let's just pick the next 36 months. I think it's going to be wild in the industry. I think there's going to be more change is going to be coming. And I don't care if you're in retail, I don't care if you're in the manufacturing, supplier side, distribution, et cetera. AI is going to disrupt. Ag technology is going to disrupt. There's going to be just a lot of stuff happening, and it's probably going to happen. Some of it's going to be faster than you think, and some of it's going to be slower, and it's probably somewhat unpredictable. I'm not saying like it's going to be wild or crazy or super bad. I just think that there's a lot of intersections of certain things happening right now. So that would be a great example of, hey, guess what? Your old brand out the door. You're used to selling to farmers. Nope. Now you're going to sell to retail decision makers. So now you go from a B2C sale to a B2B sale, which if you've ever sold anything is a very different type of conversation. We're gonna move people's cheese all over the place, and we're doing a new thing. So that's a great thing, a great story. What would you advise people who maybe get to experience some change of their own, maybe whether it's different processes or different products that they're going to be representing or selling or leading? How do you keep it together as you go through that?
If you know the end, begin with the end in mind, right? I think that would be the biggest thing. Sure. It makes it a lot easier to get through the process. Actually, quick story. Last week, my son and daughter were sitting on the couch and I just heard them talking. So I peered in, and Caroline is 7 and plays on a 8U softball team. And she said, Charlie asked if she was going to win that weekend. And she said, nah, my coach said that we're playing a team that's a level up from us. So it's going to be really hard and they're probably going to beat us. And I was like, oh, great coach. Nice work. Way to motivate your team. And her big brother responded though with, well, but how did practice go? And she said, good. I hit a dinger. I did great. She was really proud of herself. She had a big hit at practice. And he said, well, maybe you should just go on Saturday and pretend that you already won and go hit like you did at practice. And I was like, wow. An 11-year-old, like, proud mom moment. That's really a lot better than him complaining about cleaning out the dishwasher. But I was like, you know what? Gosh, we don't think about that enough. We don't think about in the end, this is going to be super frustrating. This news I got is hard. I don't know how I'm going to get past this, but in the end, like, what do you really want to do? What does the end look like? It may not be clear, but how do you go through it with the mentality of I'm going to make this better than where I'm at today? I mean, just like a little kid's softball team, right? You're gonna go through really tough competitors and really tough news, and your coach is going to tell you you're not going to win, and then you can go and persevere through it all. It's not easy. I don't know that anyone really knows, because everyone's experience is different and everyone's situation and their network and their circle is different. And so no matter how much we try to say, hey, I've been there, no one's been there. So it's navigating it yourself and trying to make it better in the end. Like, it will get better if you make it better in the end.
Yeah. I love going back to what he's to what your son said. Like, what if you just pretend like you already won or that you're going to win? And I think about this with retailers that we work with and suppliers that we work with. I mean, there can be a lot of frustration and there, friction, right, within the supply chain and so forth. But every year the farmers are still going to farm. I mean, we're still going to put a crop in the ground.
And we drive up the driveway, not just to sell them something, right? We drive up the driveway because we believe our products will make them better. And so in essence, every day is change, right? For all of us. You're going to drive up a driveway of a hard customer, but you're doing it because you want to bring them what you have. But give them an opportunity. If you don't drive up the driveway, they don't have the opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah. Very well put. Okay, we talked a little bit off the mic about this. I don't want to give you a chance to talk about it because I think you bring a very unique tone to the conversation. So, what role does vulnerability play? And I always imagine people maybe struggle, especially if you have 80-some people reporting to you. Like, how vulnerable can you be? What does that even look like? How do you play that card? So, just curious what that looks like in your world.
Yeah, humility is huge for me. I'm not sure that day to day I could do the job of anyone on my team. They do a great job at their job, right? And it probably goes vice versa. They don't want mine either. But when I think about the humble confidence factor, I think that's a big piece. Probably just another way to say vulnerability. How do you make sure that your team knows that you're supporting them and that you're giving their feedback to leadership? But at the same time, how do you give them the direction and the guidance to say, here's what we need to do and here's how we're going to do it, without them feeling like you're a dictator? We're going to do this together, I think, is a big piece of it. Last week, we had our whole team together at National Business Conference, and we got to celebrate a really big win. My team collectively hit the $1 billion mark, which is huge. But we were so tight on if we were going to hit it or not as of last week that it was a fact. And when I stood with them and shared it and said, we couldn't have done it without every single person in this room. Like, I literally meant it. If someone didn't make their last sale, we wouldn't have hit it. And so just collectively, we need every single person to be just owning it every day. And it's my job to help them do that. So if I was going to stand up on a pedestal and bark them orders, I don't think that would do any good. And if I didn't talk to them on a regular basis and say, how are you? How is it going? What do you need? Then I wouldn't be doing my job. So we can say it's vulnerability, or we can say it's just doing your job.
So good. So good. Well, congrats on the big win. That's awesome.
It is. It was pretty great.
Yeah, that's gotta feel really, really good. I hope that it continues as we bring it in for a landing. Sarah, any last thoughts that you would have for the Intentional Agribusiness Leader audience?
Gosh, I would say my last thoughts are, um, as I was reflecting this morning on, hey, I get to talk to Mark Jewell. What would I say? I would say, man, I learned so much from you when we were in high school, and Mark, continue to learn from you. Maybe it's from afar on LinkedIn, or
Mm-hmm.
in the random happenstance. Hey, I think we're in the same hotel today. Learning from you is incredible. So thanks for what you do, because whether it's ag retail or young FFA students or our industry in general, it's pretty cool to see what you do. And I know this wasn't what you were asking for, but um, it's great to talk to you, and I really appreciate what you're doing and inviting folks like me to come and talk, because that's who I learned from when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty cool to be able to bring it full circle and give back as well. In terms of to other leaders and aspiring leaders, I think the biggest thing is be you. Do a great job and own what you're doing today, because that will be the key indicator to what you can do in a new role. Um, and nobody likes to get their cheese moved, but to be fair, if you want to stay in the same role and just own it like crazy and make it new every year, I think that's pretty awesome too. And that's being a leader of your own territory. So, um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm rambling now, but thanks,
No,
Mark.
I
I
love it.
appreciate it.
Sarah, it's been great, and thank you for the kind words. It is really a privilege to get to go do this and talk to so many people like you. We've had, we're approaching episode 200 at this point, and
Awesome.
you know, privilege of my career in many ways to get to learn from people like you who are out there making this industry work on a day-to-day basis. Lord knows I'm not teaching and training and coaching and
Yeah.
all that good stuff along the way, but in a very, very different sector, right? Just in support
Mhm.
of the industry, really. I'm sort of just like the water boy over here cheering everybody on. So
Yeah, well,
so yeah, I appreciate that. And what you do, what you bring to your team, I think is very special. So thanks for being on the show.
thank you. I appreciate it, Mark.